Formula 1 returns to a very wet Malaysia, where most teams chose to do a majority of their running, as the race is expected to be run in wet conditions. Mercedes were looking to struggle on lower fuel loads, with Toto Wolff not expecting higher than 6th on either of the two drivers in qualifying. Williams also bring a whole new redesigned gearbox for the final few races of this season, in hopes of not seeing a repeat of the desyncing issue on Josh Chiro's car they experienced at the previous race. Renault were understandably elated with Daniel Ricciardo's performance at the previous race, and now they bring the final planned upgrade package of the season, one final engine upgrade. Taking a look at the starting grid for the Malaysian Grand Prix, and Jean-Eric Vergne would take a convincing pole position, over 2 tenths clear from Sebastian Vettel in second. Daniel Kvyat will start from third, almost 7 tenths slower than his teammate, with Josh Chiro the lead of the Williams from fourth. Jean-Eric Vergne and Max Verstappen with some very impressive laps would line up in 5th and 6th. Sebastian Buemi would start down in 7th, with Lewis Hamilton in the second of the Ferraris lining up in 8th. Rio Haryanto will start from 9th, and Alex Rossi will line up in 10th in the second of the Hasses. Will Stevens will start from 11th in the second of the McLarens, with Valtteri Bottas the lead Mercedes all the way down in 12th. Esteban Ocon will start 13th in the lead of the Force Indias, with Hulkenberg starting in 14th. Pascal Wehrlein once again makes it through to Q2 to line up in 15th, getting the better of Carlos Sainz, who has to settle for 16th on the grid. Fernando Alonso get knocked out in Q1, lining up only 17th on the grid, just ahead of their B-team car of the manner of Lawrence Stroll, with Sergio Perez in 19th, Daniel Ricciardo in 20th, last time's race winner, and once again the two Saubers of Marcus Ericsson and Adrian Sutil will round off the grid. Hey guys, Tara here. Welcome back to UniONE, this time round 15 for Season 3, the Malaysian Grand Prix. If you did miss the last race out at Singapore, round 14, definitely do go and check that one out, because that was probably the craziest race of the season, and one of the craziest ones that will probably ever happen. Now looking to this race, Sebastian Buemi once again starting behind us, starting lower down the order, and seeing from the first race at Australia, he wasn't too great in the wet conditions, but then again the Williams wasn't too great of a car at the start of the season. So still all to play for, and Buemi does like to have the better race pace over us in the past few races. We're lining up in P4 just behind Daniel Kvyat and in front of Romain Grosjean in the Haas. And Grosjean, because he's in the Haas, of course the Williams B team, shouldn't really play too much of an issue to us and shouldn't really be holding us up, but it is Grosjean, and you know what happened to me and Grosjean last season at Monaco, so you never know what's going to happen. Now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. We get a shocking start there. Kvyat's got an amazing start there from third on the grid. Always challenging his teammate already coming into turn 1, right behind his teammate. They're going to go 3 wide with Jean-Eric Vergne and Sebastian Vettel coming down into turn 1 now, coming down into turn 1. Grosjean's going to dive with that up our inside now, going to hold it right around the outside to go 3 wide with Romain Grosjean into the car on our inside as well. Now we're up into P5 now, going 3 wide with Grosjean, one of the Red Bulls, and Sebastian Vettel now all for P2 in this race. Now going side by side with our teammate Sebastian Buemi. Don't get the best legs there out turn 1, going around very wide there, now going side by side with our teammate Sebastian Buemi now coming up into the first. And there's contact, Buemi shoved us off the track. Sebastian Buemi's forced us off onto the grass, now is sliding away up now into the end of the first set, having get us back on without causing any contact. We just get it on back on track there in front of Alex Rossi. We've lost easily, what, 10 positions at least, and now we've got one of the Renaults of Nico Hulkenberg there right behind us now to come through the second sector now. Now coming through the second, we run out very wide once again, we run out wide, now it's allowed Hulkenberg to get past us. Now Hulkenberg, we just dropped on yet another position, so have we got damage? We've got some sort of kind of suspension damage now from that contact with Sebastian Buemi, but now, so all the way down in P16, we've just dropped 11 positions, thanks to Sebastian Buemi, they're shoving us off of the track. I mean, we know he wants to beat us in the championship, but I don't think that's the way to go about it, Sebastian Buemi. So now we'll try and make a move. This is going to be a fireback race. Now try and make a move up the inside of Nico Hulkenberg, coming up into the third sector. We're just trying to manage to make a move there around the outside, but now we're trying to hold it around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg. We switch to the inside now, coming into the third sector, we're trying to dive in out up the inside under braking. Really nice trying to move that up into P15. Hulkenberg doesn't put up much of a fight. And now we can try and chase down Alex Rossi in the Haas. Alex Rossi is down in 14, so Rossi with a poor start there as well, dropping 4 positions from his qualifying spot in the first sector. Now again, right behind Rossi. Rossi there a bit early on the brakes. Haas haven't had the best brakes this season. Had quite a few issues there with their brakes. Now we're going to pull side by side with Alex Rossi, and it's going to power past Alex Rossi down the straight. So Rossi there, of course, Haas there with the BMW engine got a lot less downforce on the car. So Looks like Rossi's struggling there to put the power down from his BMW power unit. Has a slot in there behind us. You see, we're already pulling away from the American after only one straight. And now we've got the whole queue of cars there up in front. They've got one of the Manos up in front there. Amazing start there from whichever Mano that is. I think it might be Pascal Wehrlein, but Wehrlein there up into the points positions from starting from 15. So Wehrlein there with a complete electric start to gain so many positions in only one lap. So Wehrlein there is at the front of this queue of cars. So I think he must be in like at least 9th or 10th and trying to hold out around the outside of Valtteri Bottas. Just didn't find a way around there. Of course, we did a lot better there with Valtteri Bottas in the previous race. We've seen a lot of the back of his car at the previous 3 races. Now I'm going to try and make a move up the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Just don't manage to find a way through there. Now go right up behind the gearbox now of the fin. I'm trying to make a move to the inside of Valtteri Bottas now. Find the wet patch, finding more grip on the wet. Of course, because when you're in the wet, the grippier line is off the racing line. I'm trying to hold now around the outside of Valtteri Bottas coming through the end of the first sector now, trying to hold around the outside. We made a move stick there on Valtteri Bottas. We can try and chase down one of the Ferraris right in front of us of Lewis Hamilton. I think see Bottas is struggling there on the wet tires. In the Mercedes, we're struggling on low fuel lows. He's also really struggling. Well, Bottas looks to be struggling in the wet as well. Now we try and catch on the back of Lewis Hamilton now in 13th. So Hamilton also with a terrible start, dropping 5 positions from his starting grid. So actually no, we're not the only ones having issues this race. Now we set the fastest there, we go purple there through the second sector, which is actually pretty good. So that is pretty promising that we do have some pace in this race. And that seems that we can try and use it there to our advantage now to try and catch onto the back of Lewis Hamilton, try and catch back up to Sebastian Buemi at some point in this race. And coming through this really long sweeping right hander there, of course, where Sergio Perez spun in 2012 to, as he could have almost could have won that race in the Sauber, which would have been Sauber's only 2nd victory in Formula 1. Coming down the straight, we're not getting too much in, especially now on the back of Hamilton. We know he's good in the wet conditions. Now coming up into the final hairpin turn 15. Now we'll just have to follow this queue of cars down straight. Now we've got Pascal Wehrlein in the line, still leading this queue of cars from one of the Force Indias, and looks like one of the McLarens as well. Now there's a whole queue of cars that's snaking their way down into turn 1, trying to make a move on the back of Hamilton and force a move away to the inside, trying to put him off in the mirrors, but nothing come of it, as Hamilton was just a bit too far in front there still. Now we're still in P13, so 1 place off of the points positions. We have gained a place while so has someone coming for a very early pit stop, because we were in 14th. So it's like we gained a position from that, so someone must have made a very early pit stop, maybe for some damage or something. It's definitely not time for the intermediates this early. Now cutting onto the end of lap 3, it is now time for the intermediate tyres, only 1 lap later on. Into that now, gaining installation on the back of Hamilton, trying to make a move on the back of Hamilton before coming to the pits now. Gaining installation now, coming up into the hairpin and trying to make a move. Now he's still behind Hamilton. Probably for the best, don't want to go 2 by 2 into the pit lane here. Of course, this is where we had issues with our gearbox in the pit lane. Coming into the pit lane last season when we were in the Lotus. Also, not going to have a repeat of any of those issues, at least this time round. Now coming into the pits, following Pascal Wehrlein. Of course, we've seen what happened last time the man was leading an entire queue of cars with Will Stevens at Spain. The man completely messed up their pit stop under pressure. Now Pascal Wehrlein leading their queue of cars here, so Wehrlein's going to need a good start from Manor to make anything of it. Now, we are going to get held for a whole queue of cars there, and we're going to drop out back behind Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately. Well, there's nothing lost, nothing gained. Back out there behind Lewis Hamilton. So, where's the Manor come out in all of this, though? That's the main question. It's like, there's Manor being held in the pit box. There's that Lance Stroll, though, or is that Pascal Wehrlein? I can't quite see which Manor that is. I think that may have been Lance Stroll, because I can't see another Manor in this queue of cars. So, looks like Pascal Wehrlein has still cut out there in front of us. Now he's trying to try and make a move on Lewis Hamilton. No, it's not Hamilton, it's actually Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel there was the lead of the Ferraris, was in P2, and he's now finding himself down in P14. Ferrari there, the terrible pit stop, getting held up for absolutely everyone. So now that means we jump on Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's way down the order now, along here with Sebastian Vettel, coming under braking up for the end of the first sector. We think about making a move but Vettel there a bit later on the break. Of course, Vettel, the defending world champion. And now you have to worry about defending P14 from us now. And we've got Fernando Alonso now trying to make a move up Pascal Wehrlein in the manner up the inside coming into the final corner. Alonso can try and make a move there up the inside up Pascal Wehrlein. Fourth Wehrlein out wide, Wehrlein has to reach the position. Now Wehrlein getting a bit of slipstream now, going to make a move back to the inside of Fernando Alonso now coming down the main straight now into turn 1. Of course, the man a complete bullet in a straight line. Can Wehrlein make a move round the outside of Fernando Alonso coming down to turn 1? Fair play, it's going to hold it side by side with Fernando Alonso. That's going to keep it right round the outside. Hasn't Wehrlein got the downforce in the manner? Doesn't look like he has. Now Wehrlein has to slot in behind Fernando Alonso. Now we've got Rio Haryanto just appeared right in front of us, so Haryanto must have stayed out an extra lap there on the wet tyres, which doesn't look like it's worked out for him now, because we're right up behind the Indonesian driver now, going up into the end of the fast sector. We're close enough to try and make a move on the back of Rio Haryanto coming under braking. No, we're not quite close enough to make a move on the back of the Indonesian. Now coming out into the second sector, close enough coming through the sweeping left-hander, no, not quite close enough to the back of Rio Harrington. Of course, this is where the McLaren should really be having a good outing. Of course, in the wet conditions, it pretty much nullifies the grid, the advantage that a car has over another. Pretty much nullifies the advantages and brings the grid closer together. So, know that McLaren is pretty much a second Red Bull, of course, reliant on their chassis and all the aerodynamics. So, you think Rio Harrington should be doing pretty well in these conditions. It seems McLaren leaving him out there for an extra lap really hasn't worked for him. Now they're all going purple through the second sector. Of course we should be, because we're on intermediate tyres. Of course everyone's going faster at this point. Even Pascal Verlaine would have gone purple there through the second sector. Now talking of Pascal Verlaine, we've got Rio Harrington right up behind the back of the man. Of course, once again, much like the Red Bull and the man of the previous race, the McLaren and the man of polar opposite cars. Of course the McLaren go through the corners terrible in a straight line, and the man are terrible through the corners but great in a straight line. Now we've got Pascal, this is not a view you want to see if you're Rio Harrington. We've got us in Williams getting right to behind Pascal Verlaine now. Is Harrington going to go for a move coming under braking? No, Harrington does not go for a move on the back of Pascal Verlaine. Of course Verlaine just finding himself once again in another great position now. And now coming down the straight, it's going to be a pretty difficult move for Rio Harrington, but Harrington will have the solution now on the back of Pascal Verlaine, but he's close enough to try and make a move on the back of Pascal Verlaine. Now coming down into turn 1, trying to make a move to the outside. No, we're going to go for a move up the inside of Pascal Verlaine, are we? No. Think about making a move there, we can make a move on the inside. Now, if we actually get hit into the back of there, we actually get hit into the back of there by Sebastian Vettel. Now Vettel will try to move up our inside now, we try and hold it right around the outside. Vettel will try and hold it around the outside. Can you hold it up the inside? No, we managed to make a move there back in front of the defending world champion Sebastian Vettel. And now we're getting right on the back now of Rio Harrington. It was like Harrington actually lost a bit of time there on the back of Pascal Verlaine, so maybe went for a move that we didn't see. Now we're going to try to move up the side of Rio Harrington, coming down into the end of the first sector. We force Harrington out wide. We're going side by side now with the Indonesian, going to try and sweep it right around the outside of Rio Harrington. So we managed to make the move stick there on Harrington. So now it's our turn to try and chase down Pascal Verlaine now in the manner. Of course, Verlaine, if this is one way to advertise yourself to Mercedes, we're running Harrowly right there, just about hold it on the grass. That's very, very dangerous stuff out there. We could have easily spun the car off there into a barrier, into the gravel trap, or into Rio Harrington. Now, as I was saying, this is one way for Pascal Verlaine to advertise himself for Mercedes next season. Of course, Bottas having a pretty terrible season there at Mercedes, and this is Verlaine up there currently, in P8 in the manor, after starting from 15th, 16th, so he's pretty much half his grid slot either way. And this is one way to advertise himself for a seat at Mercedes next season, possibly even replacing Bottas. If Bottas doesn't really need to improve his racing, improve his races also in qualifying as well. Bottas he has the 1 lap pace as we've seen in qualifying, but he just doesn't have the race pace this season that he found last season to challenge for the championship up until the final race, where unfortunately Vettel just managed to get the better of him. Now gaining insulation now on the back of Pascal Verlaine, can try and make a move coming up into the hairpin. I don't think we're quite close enough coming up into the hairpin, try and make a move on the back of the manor. Of course, it's all from last race, we spent pretty much 15-16 laps still behind Pascal Verlaine. This time with the all new redesigned gearbox, you haven't got any gearbox issues now. Getting insulation out on the back of Pascal Verlaine. Of course, that man is complete bullet in a straight line, but has got nothing on this Williams. That's going to breeze right past Pascal Verlaine in a straight line and making the move coming up into turn 1. Now we run up a bit wide. Pascal Verlaine's going to shove his nose back up the inside. I mean, fair play to Pascal Verlaine. He's never going to give up a fight, much like Will Stevens in the manner last season. Now, when we do make the move there ahead of Pascal Verlaine, now Verlaine surely has to turn his attention to defending from Rio Harrington. Of course, in the wet conditions, that shouldn't be too difficult, because there's no way really that Harrington is going to make a move on the back of Pascal Verlaine in these wet conditions down the straights. There just isn't the straight line speed from that McLaren Honda. The Honda power unit, once again, just lacking that little bit of extra for what he needs to try and be a championship contender. I mean, Harrington really can only beat Valtteri Bottas realistically in the championship this season. It's all about securing 5th in the championship now for McLaren. Now Harrington's coming up right behind Pascal Verlaine now. He's coming down. It's like a huge tyre blow there for Pascal Verlaine. Verlaine's right over to the gravel trap. He can't turn the car. No. Calamities there for Pascal Verlaine. He's got a punching nose, got stuck in the gravel trap. Can he even get the car out of the gravel? And very slowly. He's pretty much got one wheel drive there on the front. Now we're up into P8 now, trying to chase down Will Stevens. Now he's got a VSC deployed. I imagine for Pascal Verlaine being stuck there in the gravel trap. Now now cutting a bit further on onto lap 8 now. The VSC ended. Now we came right onto the back now. Will Stevens now as we go purple there through the first sector intermediate. Now we're right on the back now of our fellow Brit Will Stevens, who Will Stevens hasn't had really the best second half of the season since his promotion to McLaren. I mean, McLaren pretty much have tailed off themselves as well, with Harrington not having ever since Germany. Harrington just pretty much tailed off his results after taking that second place at Germany. Now we're right behind Will Stevens coming in the second sector. Yellow flags up in front, so we're going to have to stay behind Will Stevens. And someone had a crash up in front. Yellow flags out front. Can't really see what's that for. They're coming now right up behind Will Stevens. Now, oh my god, there's a man in the middle of the track. Okay, the man are doing about 2 miles an hour. They're right in the middle of the racing line. Yellow flags, green flags up in front of time. We try and get past that with him, but surely we need a safety car. Pascal Wehrlein stranded there in the middle of the track. Surely his car must have just given up after that puncture. It must have done quite a lot of suspension damage there. And surely we need a safety car for this. Come on, stewards. Surely a safety car. Something. We need to get Pascal Wehrlein out of the middle of the track. Stewards, this isn't the first time they made a questionable decision this season. Remember back to Monaco, where the safety car, or was it VSC, ended with Esteban Ocon not even in the pit lane yet from his brake fire and puncture. So questionable decisions there from the stewards once again. Now we're getting it literally right on the back now of Will Stevens, going up now into the final corner. Stevens going to try and hold it now, around the outside line. Is Stevens going to try and go for a switch back line? But no, we decide he's going to get populated there out of the final corner. And now we move ahead. Will Stevens now can try and chase down the next car in front of us. He looks to be one of the Mercedes of Fernando Alonso. So Alonso there with a great start, much like Pascal Wehrlein. Of course, Alonso there knocked out in Q1 in qualifying, only managing 17th on the grid, and putting it onto lap 9. Once again, yellow flags for the sector. Please tell me Pascal Wehrlein is not stuck in the middle of the track once again. So I can't see Pascal Wehrlein looking in front. So it looks like he may pulled off the side of the track. I think, yeah, Wehrlein is just about managed to cross over the side track, but no, there's a huge lock there from Max Verstappen. Verstappen's now dropped behind Fernando Alonso. But was that in yellow flag conditions or was that in green flag? I think Alonso might just get away with that because obviously Max Verstappen went straight on at the corner. So I think Alonso won't have to give the attention. So Alonso now up into P6 after starting from P15. And actually started from P17. So Alonso there's made up 12 positions in 9 laps. I think it shows if you give Alonso a competitive car, he'll deliver the results. Now DRS has been enabled, so we're now at the end of this lap we will be coming in for a set of dry tyres. That's good news too, guys, because once you get hit that crossover point, once again we are going to have to stack behind Sebastian Buemi. I think Pascal Wehrlein has now retired from the Grand Prix. Unfortunately for him, could have been on there for some great points, much like it was at the previous race at Singapore. Now coming into pits once again, we are going to have to stack behind our teammate Sebastian Buemi if Buemi wasn't that far in front of us. Unless Buemi's of course left his pit box in there. Up in front of Buemi's just coming into his pit box now, so we just about are going to have to stack behind Buemi once again, but we lose more time staying on intermediates for another lap. Either the pit crew is just about ready for us, maybe a second after, second too early for a double stack, so we should be able to come back out on the track relatively cleanly. And once again we are behind Max Verstappen, but that's no surprise, as Verstappen wouldn't have had to start behind Carlos Sainz, I'd imagined. Now coming back on track, it feels like a few cars have actually stayed out on intermediate tyres, so I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're thinking that they'll lose more time with the double stack, which now on dry tyres compared to intermediates, they're using about 15 seconds a lap. So now currently we're in P10. Verstappen's come out in front of us there on a set of hard tyres, so Verstappen is going to be a lot slower than us, so we need to make a move on Max Verstappen as quickly as we can. We're coming up into the end of the first sector. Are we close to trying to make a move on the back of Max Verstappen? Try to make a move to the inside. Oh, we know where Verstappen outbrakes us there. We know how good Verstappen is with his defending. Of course, with all the defensive work they had to do even in his debut race at Belgium in 2014 in the Caterham. And coming up around, there's a car going very slowly there through the second sector. Is that one of the cars that stayed out? Looks like it's one of the Saubers. I can see the flash of blue, so it looks like one of the Saubers that stayed out on the set of intermediate. And they're going so slowly, almost hitting to the back of Max Verstappen. Or we're not anticipating how early that Sauber's going to be on the brakes now. Which I can move now to try and make a move to the inside of Max Verstappen. We're going to get boxed in there behind the Sauber now, coming up under braking. And Will Stevens going to make a move past us. Well, Stevens there being very opportunistic, diving down our inside. Great move there from Will Stevens, using the opportunity to his advantage to get back past us once again. We managed to get past the very slow moving Sauber, which is also stuck on a set of intermediate tyres. Now once again, we have to try and make a move on Will Stevens. We haven't seen much of Stevens in the past few races. Now Stevens giving him a great no, track and move now on the inside of Will Stevens, now coming up into the second to last corner, track and move up the inside, going side by side on the exit with Will Stevens. Of course we both have DRS, and that's going to be BMW engine versus Honda engine. That's going to be no contest. So now we've got the DRS past Will Stevens. Now we can try and stay about gaining once again on the back of the Toro Rosso of Max Verstappen, now coming up into final hairpin and getting a lot under braking. So Will Stevens there going late on the brakes once again as well, but on traction on the exit. We just managed to pull away from Will Stevens, because with our Honda power unit still not up to scratch with anyone else really on the grid. Now we're going to make a move now to the inside, and we easily make a move there past Max Verstappen, now coming down into turn 1. And surely Max Verstappen has to worry about defending from Will Stevens behind, because the Toro Rosso and McLaren seem pretty evenly matched at this point in the season. And I've actually got one of the Toros, one of the Red Bulls out in front of us. Where's this Red Bull come from? Surely did they stay on extra lap on intermediate tyres as well? Now coming up into the end of the first sector, trying to make a move, another Red Bull just runs like completely wide, just drifts off the track. And we're getting a free overtake there on the Red Bull. I mean, I'll take it. Any overtake there on the Red Bull, because this is throwing. No, Will Stevens going to make a move to the inside of the Toro Rosso, Max Verstappen. Once again, Stevens being very opportunistic, going to keep it around the outside now. Of Will Stevens, going to hold Stevens, holding around the outside. Looks like no, Max Verstappen's just going to fend him off there. Verstappen has to defend there to the inside line. That's just cost them so much time to everyone else there. But once again, Stevens being very opportunistic when it matters to try and get a good result for McLaren. Now we're up into P5 after a good defensive there from Jean-Eric Verne. Jean-Eric Verne, the pole sitter, is currently behind us on hard tyres. We go purple there through the second sector split. And now we try to chase down Fernando Alonso, who's now up into 4th from starting 17th on say medium tyres. So Alonso going medium hard to the end of the race, much like we're going to be getting all over the track there, trying to put out as much power as we can, trying to use all of the track and then a bit more, trying to keep front. Jean-Eric Verne now coming up through the corners because medium tyres versus hard tyres, and we're already pulling away from Jean-Eric Verne. Now cutting on the start of lap 13, we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and now can try and chase down Romain Grosjean, who's currently doing a great job for Haas there in P4, but also on a set of hard tyres. So Grosjean going hard mediums to the end, doing the alternate strategy to what me and Alonso are doing. So now, of course, when we catch up to Romain Grosjean, of course we will, because medium tyres compared to hard tyres. Hopefully Grosjean doesn't put up that much of a fight. Now cutting onto lap 14, we go purple once again through the second sector split, and now we're right behind Romain Grosjean now. We will easily be within DRS range, and now we have dropped Jean-Eric Verne from the back of us now, coming up through this sweeping left-right-hander. This is where, of course, the Williams is good through the high-speed corners. Now gaining through this final right-hander now on the back of Romain Grosjean. Now we have DRS on the back of the Frenchman in the Haas. Of course, the Williams B team sues 2 BMW engine are gaining insulation now on the back of Romain Grosjean. Now going to pull to the inside of the Frenchman now, going side by side into the final corner through the hairpin. And Grosjean doesn't put him up a fight, and that's wise decision there from Grosjean. Pretty much like gets a pull exit there out of the corner, so even if he's going to, he can't. So Grosjean having to settle down into P5 now. But still, if he can hold on to this for the remainder of the race, it'd be a great result for the Haas team to back up Alex Rossi's P2 at the previous race. And we've got the lead Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel doing battle there with one of the Toro Rossos. So the Ferraris once again just really falling back in the race and just not getting the strategy called right whatsoever. Cutting all the way now to lap 16. Now we are starting to catch onto the back now of Fernando Alonso, and crucially even Sebastian Buemi as well. Now Buemi's coming to the pace. Buemi's coming into the pace now. Buemi's going for an undercut on us once again. So now once again, Buemi doing everything to protect the lead he has over us in this race. Because if he beats us, he may even take the championship lead depending on where we finish come the end of the race. Now Buemi coming in for what should be his final stop, is it? Yeah, Buemi going to a set there of hard tyres. So Buemi looking to go to the end of the race on that set of hard tyres. And we have to come in next lap now to cover off the undercut that Buemi is going to get, try and nullify the time loss that we'll lose because Buemi on fresher tyres. Now is he going to come out in front of it or behind anyone, pretty much ruining strategy much like at Monza. Now coming out into turn 1, here comes Lewis Hamilton with Rio Haryanto at the head of the winner. Buemi has come out there in front of Lewis Hamilton and Rio Haryanto, which is crucial for his race really not getting held up by 2 slower cars. Now coming on to the next lap, now we're coming in for our final snatch now with Fernando Alonso. We caught right onto the back of Alonso on that lap. Putting a good in lap. Now coming into the pits now for our final stop of the race, and what should be Fernando Alonso's final stop of the race as well if he gets onto a set of hard tyres to take him to the end of the race. Now coming in for a set of hard tyres, and Alonso gets out in front of us there. No surprise he came in quite quickly. Alonso's actually gained a bit of time on it there, so once again not the best pit stop in the world from Williams when it matters. Now the question is, where's Sebastian Buemi going to go out? Here goes Sebastian Buemi now, being under attack now from Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's going to pull to the inside of Sebastian Buemi coming through top one. Hamilton's going to try and make a move on Sebastian Buemi. Buemi hold it up the inside line. He just about keeps it there. Takes on the inside, but Hamilton has the racing line. Hamilton makes the move past Sebastian Buemi, much like Pascal Verland's doing. Lewis Hamilton there is pretty much advertising himself for other teams this season, because we know there are rumours that he is leaving Ferrari at the end of the season. Of course, with his engine failure from the lead at the previous race, that pretty much might just be the final nail in the coffin for Hamilton moving to a different team for the start of next season. Now we're coming down in P12, just in front there of Daniel Ricciardo, last time's race winner, who isn't even in the points this season in this race. And that's what I love about this season. You just never know how good your car's going to be come one race to the next. Now talking of how good your car's going to be, it's like Sebastian Buemi may be in some trouble here. Now he's being caught by Rio Haryanto in the McLaren Honda. We know Rio Haryanto does not give up a fight. If there's a sniff of a position for the taking, he'll do everything he can to try and take it. Now Lewis Hamilton's going to try and make a move on the back of one of the Toro Rossos, which probably is Max Verstappen now coming into turn 1. There's like making an easy move there on the back of the Toro Rosso, and Hamilton is charging his way through the field. Surely he must be using rich mix, or maybe Ferrari just brought some new engine mapping to this race or something to find Hamilton this extra bit of pace to make a move past Sebastian Buemi and then past the Toro Rosso as well. Now coming into the end of the first sector, I think that maybe Hamilton into the lead currently. Now cutting a bit further on, we're up into P now, in the solution on the back of Fernando Alonso now. Alonso may have DRS on the back of the car in front, I don't think he does. Now coming now behind Fernando Alonso, coming into the final corner, to make a move on the back of Fernando Alonso coming into the final hairpin. No, we're not quite close enough. Take a wide line there to change straighten the car quicker. Looks like Sebastian Buemi's still behind that Toro Rosso. They're coming down once again. We're going to have a second bite of DRS now on the back of Fernando Alonso coming down into turn 1. Are we close enough to make a move on the Spain? We're going to make a move to the inside of Fernando Alonso now, getting a bit of marbles on tyres and deadline. Going to move to the inside. Fernando Alonso trying to make him around the inside, but no, Alonso just sweeps him behind. Plus, you can switch back line, but we have the inside covered. Defend from Fernando Alonso. Now we can say about chasing down after the Toro Rosso in front of us. Alonso doesn't get the best exit out of the corner. Instead about chasing down Carlos Sainz, so it's not Verstappen for us, it's Carlos Sainz. So once again, as we get purple there through the first sector, so we're saying Carlos Sainz is quietly going about his business and finding himself in a good position once again. They're cutting all the way onto lap 22. All the other cars now made their pit stops. Now we're up into P3. We finally caught onto the back of Sebastian Buemi now coming up for P2. Now gaining loads on the brake. So once again, it looks like Buemi is having some kind of issue because we've seen he dropped back from Lewis Hamilton and then from the McLaren and the Toro Rosso as well. So now gaining installation now on the back of Sebastian Buemi. It's like Buemi may have had his car issues fixed now, maybe just saving some fuel now. Make a move into turn 1. Trying to make a move. Buemi just outbrakes us there into turn 1. We take a bit of a wide line, trying to take a move around the outside. And now Sebastian Vettel puts up the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. If only he was doing that about 20 laps earlier, could have maybe been up there fighting for the victory with whoever's in the lead of this race. Because whoever's in the lead of this race is currently long gone up the road. Now it's a fight between me and Sebastian Buemi as the highest we're going to get is second place in this race. Now trying to move up the inside, Sebastian Buemi get very close there to his rear right wheel. We just about avoid making contact. Of course, make contact, that could be a puncture for us, puncture for him, a front wing off for us, and that could be a calamity in the championship because we've seen this isn't the first time me and Buemi have got close even in this race, even in this season. Remember back to Italy or even the start of this race where Buemi just shoved us off the track. It's took us this long, but now finally we are back about Sebastian Buemi, so we beat him in qualifying. So we do have the pace over Sebastian Buemi in this race. It's about whether or not we can either coming up into the hairpin and going once again late in the brakes. Buemi have to go defensive there to the inside. Defender from us now. Can move on Sebastian Buemi coming through station like we did Liga Hulkenberg at the start of the race, who doesn't get the traction there. Now coming into the final section, run a bit wide there. Yes, I know we run off the track, get a bit on the cone there, lose all our momentum. Let's worry about defending now from Fernando Alonso in the Mercedes. They're coming through the stage. We just managed to hold off there from Fernando Alonso. Now we've lost a load of time there on the back, especially Buemi once again running two wheels off the track, getting a bit flustered now with that mistake we made. But thankfully we did somehow within DRS range of Sebastian Buemi. Now Alonso gaining in our switching, but he's gaining enough on the back of us now, coming up into the hairpin now because we have DRS somehow off the back of Sebastian Buemi still. Now coming through the final hairpin, are we close enough to try and make a move coming down the straight? Alonso will be gaining our switching, but once again we'll be gaining in slashing on the back of Sebastian Buemi coming down into turn 1. We're gaining in the back of our teammate, which is just enough thankfully to keep us ahead of Fernando Alonso coming down now into turn 1. Alonso isn't quite close enough to try and make a move on us. Now we have to go a bit further on and try and catch him now to the back of Sebastian Buemi once again, try and make another move on him. Now cutting a bit further on now, try to move to the inside now. Sebastian Buemi once again getting very close. Buemi runs out wide. Buemi makes a mistake. We're now going side by side with Sebastian Buemi now coming up through the S station, trying to sweep him right around the outside of Sebastian Buemi. Now Buemi's going to try it up the inside line. We're going to make the move over up in front of Sebastian Buemi. We take a tight line there to the inside to defend from him. But we do make the move up in front there of Sebastian Buemi. Now we are up into P2. We're coming up now through the second sector. We run out a bit wide there on the grass, going to be on the cone. That's going to give us a terrible exit now. We have to worry about defending now from Sebastian Buemi now coming up into the hairpin. Like Fernando Alonso is going to try and get with and try and make a move past us. We have to try and defend once again. But Fernando Alonso try and slot our car in just in front there of the two-time world champion, which we just about managed to do. And now we're slotting in front there of Fernando Alonso. And once again, we've trying to chase down our teammate Sebastian Buemi. We've seen we have the pace over him, but whenever we get past him or get near him, we just seem to lose all composure and then let him get away once again. Now coming on the straight, have we got DRS off the back of Buemi? We just about managed to have DRS off the back of our teammate, which is good enough for us. Now we should be able to defend from Fernando Alonso now coming up into the final corners. Alonso close to try and make a move on the back for us. No, he isn't. Once again, Alonso just to stay behind for the time being. Now coming a bit further on, we now have a VSC for a car pulled off. Yeah, on the left hand side there, there's a car pulled off to the side of the track. Unfortunately for them, with only a few laps left to go in the race, their engine, I imagine it's an engine failure for them to be pulled off to the side of the track. And now the VSC is ending. Now hopefully, if this ends in a good position for us, we can try and make a move on the back of Sebastian Buemi. Now it ended in a perfect time for us there. We get a great launch there off the second to last corner, now gaining instantly on the back of Sebastian Buemi. Now trying to make a move on in our way. I'm going to make a move to the outside, and now Buemi's going to force us off onto the grass once again. Buemi getting very forceful, was very aggressive, overly aggressive I'd say. I imagine Frank Williams would have bit all his nails off by this point now, watching it in the garage. Now gaining in switching on the back of Sebastian Buemi once again, but that could have lost a lot of momentum there out of the final corner. Now Buemi has lost a lot of switching. Now coming into turn 1, I'm close enough to Sebastian Buemi, trying to make a move, coming into turn 1. Now we're not quite close enough, coming into turn 1 to stay behind Sebastian Buemi now for a bit longer. Once again, there's not much time left to go in this race, only a handful of laps remaining. And of course, if it gets any closer to me and Buemi, then we're both going to be in the walls at this point, honestly. I'm going to say one of us, if we keep getting as close as we are with Buemi forcing off the track, one of us is going to end up DNF in this race, if not both. And they're very close to Sebastian Buemi's gearbox once again, getting very close to his rear left tyre. That time, so we're getting very close to his rear tyres. Thankfully, we haven't made any contact with him. It's all Buemi making contact with us at this point. Now coming through this, now cutting onto the end of lap 26, gaining in the DRS once again on the back of Sebastian Buemi. Now going to move once again to the outside of Sebastian Buemi. Thankfully, Buemi loses a lot more room this time. Now trying to move, make a move on Sebastian Buemi. Buemi's going to try now up on the inside. Is he going side by side now around the final corner? Buemi gets a terrible exit out of the corner. Misses the gear. Buemi's missed the gear. He's made a mistake. There's going to be side by side with Fernando Alonso. As Sebastian Buemi now coming down the main straight. Now it's going to be side by side with Fernando Alonso. Sebastian Buemi is going to be last late breakers coming into turn 1. Alonso's going to try and hold it right around the outside of Sebastian Buemi. Buemi's going to try and keep it up the inside line, which will then turn to the outside, but Buemi will have the racing line. Try and fend off Fernando Alonso. Going to be side by side on the exit. Inside Buemi's just going to hold it. Alonso's going to try and hold it the long way around. And so has Sebastian Buemi just holds on to P3 for the time being, and Alonso just going to try and chase him down for the final lap and a half of the Grand Prix. Now cutting onto the end of that lap, Fernando Alonso right in the slipstream and DRS of our teammate Sebastian Buemi, gaining in the DRS. Now he's going to pull to the inside of Sebastian Buemi, now coming up into the final hairpin. Be side by side now with Fernando Alonso. Sebastian Buemi. Alonso trying to make a move there up the inside of Sebastian Buemi. He's made a move stick. Buemi once again with a tail lift out the corner. Has Buemi got an issue? Buemi must have some. Has Buemi got a gearbox issue? Surely. We saw him last lap. He missed a gear at the final corner. Maybe Buemi's lost a gear. Surely he's just dropping back from us once again. So surely Buemi has lost a gear or something. Some kind of issue with the gearbox. Once again, we see BMW Williams brought a whole new redesigned gearbox. With also getting on the trip. Now cutting onto the end of the final lap. Daniel Kvyat is nowhere near us. Fernando Alonso gaining in our slipstream, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Now Daniel Kvyat is going to round the final corner. Now Daniel Kvyat is coming to the line, and Kvyat is going to win the Malaysian Grand Prix in pretty much dominant fashion, pretty much led from the start of the race to finish after getting past his teammate and Sebastian Vettel. And it's going to be us to cross the line, not into P2, are we? Just about going to cross the line, just hold on to P2. There can be P3 there for Fernando Alonso. Great recovery drive there from the Spaniards, 17th to 3rd, as we Sebastian Buemi has to settle for P4 in this race. Now you can see Christian Horner looking very happy with Daniel Kvyat's race win. Honestly, why wouldn't he? Daniel Kvyat there taking his 5th career victory and his 4th victory of this season, and now that is the most of any driver at this stage. The most victories for any driver in this season currently. Daniel Kvyat has the benchmark set at 4, and can anyone beat that benchmark before the end of the season? What could have been for Daniel Kvyat if he had just had a few better races throughout the season? Taking a look at the race results, and Daniel Kvyat would take victory just under 11 seconds ahead of us, with Fernando Alonso riding off the podium for Mercedes in 3rd. Sebastian Buemi's come home and settled for 4th, with Sebastian Vettel lead of the Ferraris in 5th, Jean-Eric Vergne in 6th for Red Bull. Romain Grosjean unfortunately dropped down to 7th for Haas, but still has some more valuable points there for the team, with Lewis Hamilton finishing in 8th, getting back up to where he started. Verstappen finished down in 9th for Toro Rosso, with Rui Harianto in 10th for McLaren, Carlos Sainz in 11th in the second of the Toro Rossos, and Esteban Ocon taking another valuable point for Force India in 12th. Moving on to the driver standings, and now we have an 8-point lead over our teammate Sebastian Buemi, with 4 races left to go in this season. Daniel Kvyat in 3rd, just over 2 race wins behind us now. It's taken a lot for him to come back in the championship fight, and same for his teammate Jean-Eric Vergne as well. He's 59 points behind us on 125 points. Now Fernando Alonso is only 2 points behind Jean-Eric Vergne now, for P4 on 122 points. There's Lewis Hamilton in 6th on 95 points, now only 3 points ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel. And now it is impossible for Sebastian Vettel to defend his championship at this point in the season, now as there's only 80 points left on offer and Vettel is 92 points behind us. So there will be a new world champion at the end of this season, and currently it's between the top 5 mathematically for that championship. Valtteri Bottas remains in 8th on 69 points, but he's now only 5 points ahead of Rui Harianto in the McLaren. Sergio Perez drops down, remains in 10th on 44 points, now 20 points behind the Indonesian Rui Harianto. Daniel Ricciardo remains in 11th on 40 points, but now he's joint on points with Romain Grosjean. But by virtue of better results, of course Ricciardo taking that race victory last time out, Daniel Ricciardo is in 11th with Grosjean in 12th. Now moving on to the constructor standings. And Williams now have a 94-point lead over Red Bull, who are in second. And Red Bull are really going to have to up their race results if they try and get back and try and claim the championship for this season. Mercedes are now 6 points clear of Ferrari in third and fourth. That's pretty much the closest battle on track, along with McLaren and Force India in fifth and sixth, the fifth in the constructors. And pretty much you really count Haas and Toronto in that, so those four teams are all going for fifth in the constructors, as there's only 20 points between them, with 4 races left to go. Renault in a world of their own in 9th on 53 points, with Manor in 10th on 12, and Sauber in 11th still on 3 points. As for my driver of the day for this race, it's got to be Fernando Alonso, with that drive from 17th to 3rd. Great drive there from the two-time world champion, proving why he's a two-time world champion, and honestly, should be more than a two-time world champion, but that's just how it goes. Right, so that's been the Malaysian Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the race. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all next time.